Hi, my name's Madeline and welcome to the Mad About You podcast. Hopefully this will be more than a one episode thing, and it's going to be a podcast about mostly knitting, some crochet, and I guess just what I've managed to acquire living my craftiest life possible. So my name's Madeline and I live in Sydney, Australia, if you couldn't already tell from my accent. And I would primarily call myself a knitter these days. I did start off crocheting, but then I found the knitting bug and I haven't looked back. So I guess I've only got a few notes and I don't know how long this will go for today, but I guess I'll talk a little bit about myself and then what I'm working on, my dream knitting or what's coming up in the future, and then a few recently finished objects. So I have been knitting for about 2 years. I think, like a lot of people, my grandmother taught me when I was quite young, but I never really, I guess it didn't stick. My mum's knitted on and off over the years, I guess little jumpers and hats and things like that, and then about 2 years ago, I decided I wanted to learn to knit socks. So I actually moved to Sydney, and this was about 3 years ago. I moved to Sydney and found a local yarn store to me where I was living, and I bought a big Skein 200 grams I think of 8-ply, and I was like, yep, I'm going to teach myself to knit again, so I did. And then after I'd knit through that, I made this massive cowl, just garter knits, and then I decided I was going to learn to knit socks, which I did. So that's I guess how I got into knitting, but before then I crocheted, so that's why I found myself in the yarn store actually in the first place. And so I learnt to crochet when I was at university. I needed something else, I guess, to I like to procrastinate, so I call it positive or productive procrastination. So at least if I was procrastinating, I was getting something tangible out of it. And so I made lots of blankets, lots of granny squares, and kind of a few beanies, a few cowls, that sort of thing. And then, like I said, about a couple of years ago I got the knitting bug and I haven't really stopped knitting since. Knitting for me is definitely a lifestyle. I knit. I try every day. It doesn't always happen with work and everything like that, but yeah, I find if I am stressed or I guess need some me time, I like to, sit and knit and watch TV or listen to a podcast. So I guess it's like my biggest form of downtime, and it brings me a lot of joy. So anyway, that's just a little bit about me. To start with, I hope you'll stick around to find out what I'm knitting, and I guess what's coming up. So my first work in progress, and I just bought this bag. It costs a small fortune. But anyway, it's the Fringe Supply Company Field Bag. It's a canvas bag, and it's really cool actually. Like, I've been watching them for a while, and then last weekend I actually finally bit the bullet on local yarn shop day, I think it was, from my local yarn shop, which is called Skein Sisters, and it's in Sydney's Inner West in Dulwich Hill. So my first work in progress, which I'm keeping in this bag, is a Flax light pullover. So this is it here, and I'm almost up for, I think I've got about 4 more rows until I do the ribbing on the bottom. So it's kind of a little bit blown out. This is the second time I'm recording this actually, because the light was just terrible where I was sitting before in my apartment. So it's a bright pink neckband, a top down raglan, and it's a 0 to 6 month size. So the pattern is this one here. It's a free pattern by Tin Can Knits. It's the second time I've knit this pattern, but the first time I knit the Flax, which is the worsted weight pattern, but this one is the Flax light, and I'm really liking how it's knit up. So the yarn is, the colourway is called Osaka, and it's by Pickle and Co, and I've got their tag. Oh, I had the tag. It's over there, one sec. Yes, I've just grabbed the tag. So if you can see here, the yarn company is called Pickle and Co Fibres. So it's by Marnie Mills, and they're local or Australian company, and she's up in Brisbane, or just near Brisbane, which is near where I grew up, so it's really cool. And I found out about her on Etsy, I believe, and I've bought a few yarns from her, but it's the first time I'm actually knitting it up, and I'm really enjoying it. So this is a really great first time, I guess, top down jumper, and it's got this really nice garter panel detail on the sleeves. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to be almost ready for the ribbing at the bottom, which is exciting. And yeah, it's for no one in particular, future child of mine, hopefully. If not, I guess because I love it so much, probably one of my close family if they have a girl. Yeah, and the contrast colour is actually another Australian dye. I think today's the Australian special pretty much. It's by Fibre Revolution, and she's an Australian dye as well, so it's this really bright fuchsia, which honestly I don't think is coming across properly, but it's really beautiful colour, and it's actually leftovers from my starting point shawl, which I made last year as part of Hoki's mystery knit along. So yeah, so that's that work in progress, and that's pretty much the biggest whip I've got going on. There's a few things I'm really itching to cast on, and I'll get to those in a minute, but in preparation for that, last night actually I taught myself how to brioche. So I did the Knit Stars Summit last year, and I bought the first season as well, which is I totally recommend it if you, I guess, positive and negative. If you're Australian, it costs us more fortune, but just because of the US dollar, and the exchange is terrible. However, yeah, I was looking on YouTube for a few brioche tutorials, and I'd seen a few, but I just needed to learn how to cast on, and I vaguely remembered Stephen West had done one as part of the Knit Stars one. So I went back and I watched that video twice, I think, and yeah, anyway, it's totally not much to show for it, but that's my little swatch here, and yeah, the lighting's terrible, but this is the wrong side, and I'm just using two pinks actually, which are leftovers from a crochet project. So I dug into stash last night when I was like, no, I'm determined I'm gonna learn to brioche and I'm gonna do this swatch. So leftover from a crochet blanket I made my auntie for her 50th birthday, and I don't use 8-ply very often anymore, to be honest, because I need a lot of 4-ply or fingering weight shawls. But yeah, it's great to dig this out again, and a slightly bigger needle, which was nice. And yeah, so the other tutorials that I used this morning was the Knitting Expat, so Mina's 2-colour brioche tutorial, and also Kristen from the Yarngasm podcast on Wool and Vine Yarns. So they both have really great tutorials on YouTube. So Stephen West got me started, and the other two were really helpful in just getting my head around how it works, and I'm actually really enjoying it. So I met a lady at Knit Night, and she said that she loved brioche. I just couldn't actually fathom how you could like it, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I mean, it's this much, so maybe I'm talking too soon, but so far it's a challenge, and I can't listen to podcasts so far and do this. I really have to focus, but I think I'll get there, so that's pretty exciting. And I guess kind of a languishing work in progress that I have at the moment is 2 pairs of socks. So this is a sock I knit earlier this year, and so it's a fluoro yarn, it's called Spring in My Step, and it's a centre pull ball self-striping yarn, so I actually probably need to find out where that is, but the brand is 3 Mums Yarn. And so last year I lived in our capital city, which is called Canberra, and so there are 3 mums who are dyeing yarn and making really cool things like stitch markers, of which I've bought a few of them, and they come in this little cute case. And yeah, so I don't remember all of their names, so I won't mention any of them. But yeah, it's really lovely to knit with. It was a different, I guess their base is different to something else I've used for socks, but it feels really sturdy. So to be honest, I bought the fluoro on a whim. I have this mad FOMO, fear of missing out, during shop updates, and I bought a few other colours off them, and then I was just like, nope, I've got to have this little, came as a gobstopper, and it was really cute. Don't know if I'll wear it, so I might, when I get around to the second one, I might give it to my sister. It might be something, a bed sock for her. I'm a pretty selfish knitter, so at some point I would like to make my sister a pair of socks, and it might be those ones. And then also, I should have got out my sock blocker, but this one here is just the first sock from my Christmas Eve cast on, which was by Little Bobbin Knits, and honestly I probably should have, yeah, it was a Fish Lips Kiss Heel, and I'm just looking at it thinking, gosh, when did I split the yarn? And I probably should have taken some better notes than I'm sure I did. Yeah, so it was my Christmas Eve cast on last year, and I got the sock finished in about 4 days, I believe. Yeah, I think it was done just before or just after New Year's, so less than a week, but pretty much all I did was knit on it. And when I do knit socks, I'm kind of been a 2 at a time person most recently, which I'm really enjoying, but it's a little bit, I think plain socks are good 2 at a time. I'm not so sure about the pattern socks, and I'm really enjoying 9-inch circulars at the moment, so that's pretty handy. And then I've been keeping them in this single sock Skein bag, which is a Knit Picks bag that I got. I guess I should also show you another pair of socks, which are on my needles, and they haven't gone very far. Earlier, well, this year for me was going to be the year of the sock, and I was going to make myself a box of socks, and it was going to be excellent, but I think it was this, I don't think it was the pattern, I think it was more so the yarn. So it's a Knit Picks Hawthorn Fingering Speckle, and it's just, I guess I'm not really enjoying it for socks, and you probably won't be able to see the pattern here, but yeah, it's a Knitting Expat design, and it's the March socks, so we'll see what comes out for May. But I think also that's, I guess it's, I haven't got it printed in colour, but it's this pattern here by Mina Phillip, and I've knit a few of Mina's patterns, and I really liked the January socks. So yeah, I think it's a yarn thing. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. I don't know if they'll get finished, to be honest, but I like the 2 at a time thing, because once they're done, and I feel like it goes quicker. It probably doesn't, but anyway, in my head I feel like it does. Also, my plan with that was a contrasting heels and toes with that same colour that I'm using on that Flax light pullover, but yeah, obviously, well, this was started before the other one, and I don't know how this will go, so it might get frogged. And I made this project bag actually last year, but yeah, it was one of the first ones I made, and yeah, I really like the zippered project bags, but I'm kind of getting into those pull top ones at the moment. So yeah, like my fringe bag, and then just before that I actually bought another bag from a lady named Vanessa. She's an Australian maker as well. I've got her business card here. So My Creative Garage, and I bought some yarn off her as well, which I haven't used because it was Christmas themed, and I had these grand ideas for some shawl, and now I actually have no idea whether I even want to use it or not. It's not that it's not beautiful, I just yeah, I'm not so sure. So sorry, just a quick interruption. Yeah, so anyway, what was I going to do? My Creative Garage, Vanessa. So I bought some yarn of her, but I also bought a project bag. So before, when I couldn't decide whether I wanted to splurge for a fringe bag, she had these ones, which are, it's really heavy duty, yeah, inside, top rolls down, drawstring. It's really cool. So I was using that till I got my fringe one, and I've just transferred that project in there. But anyway, yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and I like the pot plants. I'm not really into planting at all, but one of my really good friends from high school loves succulents and plants, so it kind of reminds me of her when I use it. So yeah, that's that. I guess, oh no, I've tidied up. I'll have some show notes, one sec. Oh, right, so my dream knitting. So last year I was visiting my in-laws in Melbourne, which is our southernmost state, Victoria, and I decided that I wanted to learn to brioche, and I've already shown you the swatch. So I actually received this skein of woolen boon in a Fibreshare package. So my Fibreshare friend was Paula, and she's actually from Washington State in the US. So my first ever Fibreshare went all out, and I chose for an international partner, and yeah, it was really awesome. So I got some really cool yarn I would never have probably paid the international postage for, and in return for my other Fibreshare partner, I got her some Australian yarn, so that was really cool. So anyway, I got this skein, and I love the colours. It's so, I guess, it's special and I wanted to save it for something. So when I was in Melbourne last year, I found this one here at a yarn shop called Yarn & Co. And they're in Fitzroy, I believe, which is in the city, or it's sort of just out of the city. And so yeah, it's Australian Superfine Merino, and the colour is it's a dark, it's called dark grey. It's kind of a charcoaly colour. And so the brand is, or it's by, I think that it's pronounced Clarke, I believe. Anyway, it's kind of like a staple Australian wool. And yeah, so it's, oh gosh, I love merino. It's just so soft and squishy, and a brioche, if you don't know, creates a really squishy texture. So to be honest, it's probably going to be too hot for me to ever wear. So I need to go on a holiday somewhere cold, I think. But anyway, I want to make this pattern called the Kodiak cowl. So I tossed up and down about a few different patterns, but I think this is the one that I'm going to go with. And it's a free pattern on Ravelry by the Blue Mouse. And it looks pretty easy now that I know how to brioche, but look, I don't know when I'm going to cast it on. And the reason that I'm learning to do that is because I want to make Stephen West's Eploration Station. So like last year I purchased the Westknits Best Knits book because I really enjoy making shawls. And gosh, everything in here is just so, I guess, was really daunting at first, and there's a lot of brioche and a lot of the patterns, and anyway, I bought the book and then I decided I've got to learn how to do it. So this is the Exploration Station, if you haven't seen it before. And this section in here is brioche, so it's maybe you can see it better. No, not really, but anyway, that's the pattern. And so when you buy the book, you actually get a Ravelry download code. So I was able to print out, I guess, like a digital copy of all these patterns, which is really great because when I'm knitting something especially so big like a shawl, I like to print it and then write all over it any corrections that I make, and essentially just mark off when I'm done. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have to learn a lot of things. I'm going to knit that cowl to practice the brioche. And I've tossed up with a few different patterns, like there's a hat I really like. I can't remember what it's called, but I think that there might actually be leftovers, so I'll have to look at that pattern. It's another free pattern on Ravelry by Sosu Knits. And if there's leftovers, I might use these. I feel like I bought two of these, but I can't find one here at the moment, so it might be at my other house, or the other apartment where my husband currently lives, so we're separated for work at the moment, which is kind of really annoying, but anyway, that's just how it is for us anyway. So while I'm talking about Exploration Station, I guess I'll show you the yarn I bought. So I mentioned my local yarn store, which is called Skein Sisters in Sydney's Inner West. And it's the first yarn store, I guess, since I've became I don't want to use the word real knitter, and I guess since I became a knitter and I value, I guess, the yarn that costs more money. So when I crochet, and to be honest, if I still crochet, I mostly crochet with acrylic yarn, just because I make a lot, well, not so much lately, but I make blankets, and I think, especially if you're gifting them after baby's born, which I have tended to do, you just want something that's a workhorse yarn. So I really like Stylecraft Special and a few others like that. But anyway, since I became a knitter, and because I'm so much slower at knitting than crochet, I tend to spend more money on the yarn. Anyway, I'll just grab these now. So these are the colours that I've chosen. It takes four colours. And from what I can see, that purple, which is down the bottom, is coming off a bit blue. It might be better if yeah, that's a bit better. So it's not so, I guess, navy blue. This bottom one here is really purple, and that's more of a charcoal colour. This one here is an apricot. And it's Sweet Georgia yarn, this one. So the only non-Australian yarn I've got. And this one's called the Cash Luxe. I've left them over there. Anyway, it's beautiful. So these two have stellina, so 5% stellina. So I think they're an 80-10-10, 80% merino or 80% wool, 10% nylon, 10% stellina. Yeah, that's 100%. And then these ones are 80/20s. This is really blue. It's actually not. It's a really lovely purple, and I'm just... No, that makes it worse. Anyway, I've got a copy of... Sorry, I'll start again. I've got a picture on my Instagram, which I'll write out below, so if you wanted to follow me on there. Yeah, so I've got a picture on Instagram, and I think I've got a picture in my Ravelry queue, but I haven't actually made a project page yet because I haven't cast it on. So yeah, so I'm really excited, and I'm really tempted to just cast on and knit to the brioche section, but I think I'm probably better off, whilst I'm on this brioche kick, doing that cowl, making sure I know how to do it, and then once that's finished, cast on the exploration station. So my final dream knitting is the Clarke Pullover by, just trying to see if you can see anything in here. Not really. Alright, so this one is a Jane Richmond pattern, and I looked for quite a few, and I wanted to use up yarn that I already had. So this yarn is by Claire, and she's an Australian hand dyer as well. So Claire from We Love Knitting. Yeah, so follow her on Instagram if you're interested in Australian merino. That's her favourite. Sorry about the crinkling. So I bought this to make a cardigan a little while ago, and then I just wasn't confident in my ability, and anyway, they're very different because I bought them in 2 batches. I think I bought these 2, and then I was like, oh no, maybe I will make a cardigan, I need another 2, and they came darker. I actually need 5. So she hasn't had a shop update for a while, and it's, I guess, luck of the draw. So I've actually ordered one skein from Yarn & Co, which is where I bought this one, and so that's the yarn shop in Melbourne, because she stocks, or they stock her yarn. And so that cardigan is striped, so that grey is going to be the blue, and then this is a mint colour, which is not really coming across as mint, but it's like a mint tonal, I guess. Yeah, the colourway was called mint, and it's 100% extra fine merino wool, 8-ply, DK 100 grams, approximately 210 meters. So it needed 2 skeins of this, and I had this wound up for another project, but then I bought 2 skeins of it, and anyway, I used some Madeline Tosh for that project that I got in a fibre shed when I got this one. So yeah, that's kind of the dream knitting, I guess. Yeah, so what time are we at? Yeah, about 25 minutes. Okay, so I guess finally this is my latest finished object. So this is the Stephen West dotted rays, and I used another local Australian yarn company called Circus Tonic Handmade. So Hannah is a hand dyer in Australia, and I've used 3 skeins of her yarn. So oops. As you can see, this is the first faded thing I've made. And the reason I chose this pattern is it's a lot of garter, and I recently took a continental knitting class at my local yarn shop, Skein Sisters. So this is actually, it's in this book, and when I was there, the teacher, Deb, who's one of the co-owners, had said, oh, you should choose a big pattern, or choose a pattern and knit the whole thing continental. So I thought about it, and I had picked out yarn for a fine fade, and I just couldn't get into the fine fade. I cast on it twice, I just couldn't get the stitch count, the yarn overs, I just couldn't do it. So I wanted to make something that was just Hannah's yarn. So this is from a previous project, but that's her tag, and she sells exclusively on Ravelry, and has done a trunk show at Skein Sisters, but I don't believe in Australia, or at least she sells in any shops, and if I'm wrong, I'm totally sorry, Hannah, sorry. Yeah, my battery's running low, so I guess it's time to speed this up. So anyway, it took me about 3 weeks, and I pretty much only knit, I said I'm not really a monogamous knitter, but I pretty much just knit on this exclusively. And yeah, it's finished. I love it. I think I'm a continental convert. Haven't figured out the purling yet, but I've got time. I think I'll be knitting for life. So I guess I'll just finish off with a little bit more information about me. So like I said, I live in Sydney, Australia at the moment. I was born in Queensland, and I've lived all across the east coast of Australia, and I'm in Western Australia as well. I'm pointing west because in my head that's west. yeah, I'm in my mid-20s. I'm married to a wonderful, patient man who loves me and loves my knitting, which is excellent. It's taken a bit of convincing, I think, but he's come around. Yeah, I guess if you're I don't know if this will ever go up, and if it does, I'm going to be heading to the Canberra Celebration of Wool in about a month's time. So it's like Canberra's Fibre Festival. It's over 1 weekend, 2 days. And I'm catching up with some friends who mostly crochet but are kind of getting into knitting, and I'm really can't wait to catch up with them, and I can't wait to see all the yarn. Yeah, so thanks for watching. I don't know when I'll be able to record another episode or even when this will go up, but it's Sunday the 29th of April 2018. I probably should have said that in the beginning, but anyway, thanks for bearing with my rambling. It was yeah, a little bit nerve-wracking, but I'm glad to have recorded. So anyway, have a great week. Yeah.